Are you the kind of person who brings a packet of chips to a party and takes them home if they haven't been opened? Well, if you are, then you're in good company. Today we'll be sharing stories from our past, playing some games, and maybe even performing a live sketch or two. Let's grab your knitting needles, a blanket, because it's time for 4 old friends to sit around and sew a new patch into their quilted friendship. So join me, Dion, under the covers with Christian.
Welcome to Patchwork.
Josh.
Welcome to Patchwork.
And Andy.
It's good to be here in Patchwork.
Now, before we get started, guys, I just wanted to bring up something that you took care of for us, Dion, the mugs. Now, we've had some mugs created and printed, not 3D printed, the designs been printed onto the mugs, and we got them, and Christian and I straight away looked at it and thought, something not quite right with this design. So ordinarily, when you're holding a mug in your hand, if you lift it up to your face, you can see a design facing you and a design facing outside. That's most mugs.
It's for merchandising purposes.
Yeah.
Josh, you're implying that I wanted to make like an ordinary mug. Like ordinarily, this is how mugs are made.
And the mugs we got back has the Welcome to Patchwork logo opposite the handle.
Yep.
So you have to hold it and like face it at someone's face like you're punching them
Yep.
for them to be able to see the logo. How did you manage to do that?
Look, I'm going to jump in here, guys, because I got a hot take on this. All right, you gave me one of the mugs when I arrived, and that's fantastic because I'm now aware of the podcast, which I wouldn't have been otherwise. I think mugs are like one of the shortest range forms of advertising in the world. But Dion's spot on here, right? Because you think about it. If you've got the design facing you, well, you already know because it's your mug.
Yeah.
If you've got the design facing the person that you're sitting opposite, you're talking to them, you're in a conversation, all right?
You're probably talking about the podcast.
If you've got a, let's face it, if you've got a podcast, that's all you're talking about. Right? But here, with it facing out, across the room into open space, people passing by can catch a glimpse of the design on your mug and think, geez, I want to be a part of that conversation and come in.
I'll tell you what, Andy, if you continue like this, you will be on the show every single week.
You'll be on the mug.
It's like a 90-degree angle hit.
I think if you're going to attack me about the poor design of the mug, why don't you attack me about the actual notion of getting our logo on a mug? Do you like that idea? Are people going to want that? Actually, we had a listener who we sent a mug out to. Her name is Jay, and she loved it. She said it made her day better. I don't know how bad her day was, but...
Because she was previously carrying her coffee in her hands.
Hot mugger soup. She microwaved her own hands to warm it up.
It's the only way. There's got to be a better solution to this.
You might have heard another voice in our podcast. It's actually Andy Matthews. Andy's a comedian and writer for Sean McAuliffe's Mad as Hell TV show. He's also the co-host of Two in the Think Tank, a podcast based in Melbourne. So we're very happy to have Andy. He's got a comedy festival show as well, which we'll talk about a little bit later on.
Thank you very much for having me here in the Patch Workshop.
The trailer.
Let's go. Christian, before I came to your mum's house today, you sent me a message asking whether I could bring any sort of chips or snacks or lollies, and I sent you a message back which sent you a photo of a jar of salted cashews.
Honey cashews.
Yep. And some chocolates. And your response was, Dion, can you go to the supermarket and get some stuff?
Yep.
Now, I'm wondering, would that have not sufficed that amount of food for 4 people?
Well, let's just set the scene a little bit better.
Sure, let's do that.
We've got Andy Matthews on the show. Normally, I supply you and Josh with lots of chips and lollies. Mm-hmm. You were going to bring a jar of cashews that you had at home. And how big was that chocolate bar? It was actually a chocolate bar.
To
share between 4 people.
No, that's not true.
Wait, was it a Kit Kat? Because
Perfect.
No, it was a packet of 7 chocolate bars. It was open and 2 were missing, so there were 5 remaining. But my point is, Christian, is that I think that there's 2 things that guide your life in relation to this kind of stuff.
Me personally.
You personally.
Yeah, right.
So
here we go.
it's the absolute horror that you may run out of food. So that's the horror that people might eat all the food. But the second thing is the judging that will come from from people not thinking that you prepared enough food.
Here we go. Here's a good way to test the waters. Andy, have you been impressed by the food spread that's been on today?
I have. I've been particularly impressed by this jar of honey cashews. which I have been eating and enjoying since I arrived. So I've been very impressed by the spread. I will say elements of it seem a little over the top, but the cashews are really on my level. And I've listened to quite a few episodes of the podcast now, and I had come to the conclusion that listening in, Christian is the only person I could possibly relate to on this podcast.
Really?
Because Dion and Josh, you come across like absolute maniacs. Like borderline sociopaths.
Was there any particular part of Christian's personality that... Isn't that awful? It's awful to hear that, but it's almost sort of heartwarming and reaffirming.
This is so redeeming. I feel like Christ.
But this is the only point at which I've started to diverge from you. Is that in your expectations of food, bringing things is for somebody to offer to bring something, and then you've got to accept whatever it is that they bring.
Yes,
you can't prejudge the
without
bring.
judgment. That's right, Andy. So true.
Can I give you a little more context? We have chips and lollies here all the time. Dion in the past. Now I'm going to bring up something. I had a barbecue earlier this year.
Have you got a bone to pick with me, Christian?
I got a bone to pick.
I had a barbecue for my birthday this year. And I said to everyone, just to relieve the burden from me a little bit, because it's quite a big task to host a barbecue. I said, is it okay if everyone supplies either some kind of bread or some salad or some alcohol? Everyone was happy enough to chip in and buy some alcohol, some bread, some salads. Dion, what alcohol did you bring?
I bought alcohol for myself.
Yeah, sure.
I just remembered what he brought.
Yeah. And what alcohol did you... So Dion had stupidly made a purchase of about... a slab of this horrible cider.
That is Christian. You make up a lot of shit on this podcast. that is far from the truth. It's Krabby's ginger beer.
Yep.
And I bought too much of it on sale. And I said in a group thread, "Hey guys, I've got all of this. I'm going to bring it along." A friend of mine called me. First of all, he roasted the crap out of me.
Dion, when did you buy your Krabby's cider?
It was a little while ago, but anyway, a friend,
What decade?
a friend of mine.
Why, the Krabby's Brewery burned down 50 years ago.
So a friend of mine called me and he said, Dion, so he first of all roasted me in this thread for a very long time. And then he called me. And he said,
nothing worse than being roasted in the thread. Oh, boy.
but he said, I don't have a problem with what you did, but you shouldn't have told people that you were bringing this. You should have just brought it.
The issue that I had was that you were saying, yeah, I'll bring this for everyone. This is my contribution, something that you no longer wanted, and you didn't want it because it was dreadful.
I also brought an ottolenghi salad that was also made in the era of the Krabby's beer as well.
Yes, I can appreciate...
And actually, by that point, the ottolenghi salad had itself become alcoholic.
That's right, it's fermented. Andy, what do you do when you're going to a party? Are you good at bringing stuff? Would you make something? Are you frozen by not knowing what the hell to bring?
Up until very recently, I would have been frozen. Then recently, I discovered a really easy way to make good hummus. And now I feel like I can bring the hummus.
Is it with
and
chickpeas?
I feel really good. And then you get
hummus.
And then you've got you got your whole conversation for the night sorted, describing how you make your hummus. You're set.
So is it the recipe that is really awesome? Is that so? You've just got a great recipe, really quick. You just go, right, I'll bring hummus.
Secret is macadamia paste.
Oh, never heard of it. What is it?
Well, it's like a macadamia.
It's like toothpaste.
It's minty.
But I think you risk now, Andy, becoming the person who always brings hummus. So people will be like, oh, Andy, he'll just bring the hummus again.
Yeah, and then at a certain point, it'll be, Andy's brought his hummus again.
And he's going to tell the same story about how he makes it. We know you make it with macadamia toothpaste. We get it.
Well, at least we've got something to talk about at this party, don't we?
Well, conversation is one of the most paralyzing things for a party. I feel like if I'm going to be the host, I'm going to focus the most on making sure... Because, Dion, you said something to me, it would have been a year ago, and it resonated. You said to me, I love watching friends of mine make friends with people they didn't know beforehand.
Yeah.
So 2 groups of friends coming together to become better friends.
I hate that.
I was going to say, does anyone here dislike it?
Yeah, you don't cross the streams. I never do that. My best friends in like totally separate parts of my life, and I'm really uncomfortable if ever they meet.
Andy, what the hell are you on about?
Okay, What's the best thing that comes out of that? They get along well. I lose both friends. The worst thing that happens, they don't get along well. Now I got to deal with the fact that my friends don't like my friends.
Yeah. So, yeah.
What makes you think that you're going to lose your friends if they become
You
friends?
know that if a friend becomes friends with another friend, that's it. They're gone.
Real life doesn't have a one in, one out policy. You don't have a finite number of friends. You can always add more people.
I've got 3 friend streams I have been keeping going separately for a long time.
Is 3 separate WhatsApp threads as well?
Totally separate.
I like the idea if you hosted a party, you'd have like discrete rooms and go, you're from comedy, so you'll be over in the lounge room tonight.
I also like the idea of Andy having those 3 separate WhatsApp threads, but he writes exactly the same thing in each of the threads.
Yeah.
Can't you see the beauty of combining friends, though, in that you no longer have to have separate events to go to? You can just say, hey, guys, everyone at drinks this night.
Yeah.
I've freed up the rest of the nights in my week.
You're right. My life is a living hell.
Because my point, particularly with like partners and stuff, there's always that idea that you should get along with the friends of your partners, because the people I'm good friends with, I like them because of their personality. So their friends would like them for those same reasons. So I'm always of the mind that no matter who my friends are, they should all technically get along because they all like me.
So, Josh, are you saying that you get along well with all of your partner's friends? All of them, Josh?
Jesus.
Yes,
Especially the ones listening to this show.
Yes. You know what? That's really strange. Me too. Christian?
Me too.
Andy?
I hate all your partners.
That comes out on the podcast.
I think one of the issues that I'm assuming, Dion, you're going to take the biggest issue with is with a homemade dip, like a hummus. If no one eats that, that's a perfectly good waste of hummus right there.
It's not wasted.
It's wasted hummus.
But surely the host is going to have it.
Look, in theory, I can see your problem, but everybody eats my hummus.
It's a bad example. It's a non-existent hypothetical.
But anyway, yes, in the general sense, I can see how in a hypothetical bad hummus this could happen.
Oh, but this is great because we can actually ask Andy if he's ever taken the remaining hummus back home.
Do you want the truth?
I'd love to know the truth.
It's been times when I've desperately wanted to,
But
I haven't done it.
and why haven't you done that?
But not only you do it, you leave it behind, and then you've got this whole Tupperware container situation to try and sort out. That's like the rest of your month ruined trying to organise to catch up with these people to get back your crock pot.
Tupperware is so cheap, but God, I want it back.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a lamb that strayed from the flock.
That's not part of the donation. The food can be. The Tupperware absolutely needs to be returned.
who's keeping Tupperware? Who thinks they have the right to keep the Tupperware?
Well, Christian was making out then that like, I always want it back. Sometimes I might leave, but I always want to get it back.
Well, it depends. If I'm bringing a cheap plastic Tupperware, that's yours. Like, that's why I keep some Chinese takeout containers specifically for this reason.
So you've always left your hummus, Andy, but what about like a packet of chips or some pre-packaged thing that doesn't necessarily get opened? So say you brought hummus that wasn't homemade and it was never opened for whatever reason, would you take that home?
I reckon once it's out of the car, you've got to leave it. We've we've driven up to events with like our little packets of chips and our bottles of wine and looked at the party and been like, oh shit, this is several levels above our shitty offering of chips.
Yeah.
Let's leave this in the car and then we can take it home.
The compromise. See,
Yeah.
we've been arguing about this for months now as to whether. See, Josh firmly believes,
If it's unopened, you can take it.
and I'm completely of the opinion that once the chips are through the door, they're no longer yours. They belong to the house.
Do you want to hear my take on it? I think my take on it is if less than 50% of the packet is remaining, you have to leave it there. There's an argument to say that even if it's opened, you can take it back home.
You're taking home an open packet of chips.
Maybe not chips. Maybe that's not the best example. Maybe I can't come up with a good example of that.
What about some Meredith goat's feta?
Oh,
Good one.
Because that is like premium grade.
That's in a jar, isn't it?
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
can just twist that back on. See, that's maybe the resealability is a large factor. If you can
Yeah.
reseal...
How about this as a theory, right? A new sort of going forward, this is the standard, right? The food that you're not bringing it to the people in the house. You're bringing it for the party. It belongs to the party, and when the party dies, you put everything in a big pile and you burn that shit. Okay?
I was with you. I was going to say, that's exactly my point. Then you got to burning it. That's not my point. My point is that you're bringing it as a gift to the party and to the guests of the party. And like you're saying, when the party ceases to exist, that doesn't belong to the host necessarily. That's not a gift to the host. It's not about, thanks for having me over. I don't think that's what it is. I'm looking at Christian saying this. It's not about, here's a gift to you, host. Thanks for having me. If that was the case, I'd just bring it and put it in the cupboard for you.
So where is the appreciation that the host has put this event on, had it at their home, incurred a substantial amount of time?
Because I'm a great flavour to the party for all your friends to meet.
Unbelievable. It's always about you, Josh, isn't it?
Well, then why don't you leave yourself at the party for Christian to just enjoy for the rest of his life?
Whenever we have a conversation like this, it always comes down to whether Christian is either appreciated or underappreciated. That's what it always comes down to.
There's a good point. So you're like, how are you meant to get appreciation? Surely that is not the reason you're hosting a party. The reason you're hosting a party and having guests over is because you want to share and have an enjoyable time with all your friends, not because I want them to say, great party, mate.
No, that you're missing my point entirely. Yes, entirely. The gesture is from you. It's your way of saying to me, hey, mate, here you go. For yourself, thanks. It's the parties. Do with it as you please.
Why don't I just give you $7 then?
Do that then.
Wish as well at every party that Christian has.
You are trying so hard. You are trying so hard to shortcut any type of effort.
No, but the point isn't just to thank you. Can't I just say, thanks, mate, that was awesome, had a great time? You want financial restitution. You want a physical gift to show appreciation.
Okay,
I can't say that to you as a friend.
Here's what's going to happen. You arrive empty-handed. You become the guy that arrived at the party empty-handed, right? Inconsiderate prick.
Is that just me at the party?
You arrive with things in your hand. You give it to the host. Host goes, it's very kind of you. Thank you so much for contributing. You're making my life a little bit easier, right? You are the belle of the ball for the entire night. The moment you go to take those chips back, you are back to inconsiderate prick.
Okay, how about this though? What are you as the host gonna do with party leftovers? You can't subsist on party leftovers for like a week, like half packets of chips and old soggy biscuits and stuff like that. Unless you're going to clear everything away, putting everything in Glad wrap at the end of the night. By that next morning, that food is garbage.
Well, because I've heard recently people having, not heard, but like I've experienced it, people having almost like a second party, like the cleanup thing is almost an event of like, I'll just get the inner circle and a few people to come around and we'll polish off some of the leftovers.
What do you think of that, Christian?
People have too many fucking parties.
I think you're thinking of rats, Josh.
Rat party.
Yeah, they clean it up. It's like a Roomba. It's like a little Roomba. They run around, tidy everything up. It's great. Stephen, come on, quick. They're going to be here really soon. We've got to hurry up.
Gareth, you always panic before these things. All right, everything's going to be fine, okay? We just got to get the food laid out and pop on some music. You'll relax. You always relax when there's music.
Well, I took care of the music, so that's fine. I'll go pop on my playlist.
I was doing the playlist. It's not a big deal.
No. You were doing the food.
Whoa.
Hey, well, I'll pop my playlist on. Let's just get that going.
No. The playlist isn't the issue anymore.
No, it's not. But I want some music on to bed this scene in our house. Oh, there it is. Great. Let's be solutions focused, okay? We need food for this party.
Okay, was going to take a second to be problems focused about the fact.
Yeah, that doesn't solve anything.
You didn't,
Stephen,
bring the food, Gary. You know what the Thompsons are like. The first thing they're going to do is they're going to be looking for a snack.
Yeah, okay.
What are we going to do? There's nothing in the house.
Man, we've got to have some dip or something.
Dip.
You've got to have dip at a party.
Pot plants.
Yes.
I know the blender's broken,
yes,
but if we can grab the ficus, you get the ficus from the front yard.
Yes, okay.
I'll chew up the leaves and spit them into this ramekin.
Okay.
And then I guess we can dip flakes of...
That'll work. Actually, no. The vacuum... I did a vac before.
Yes.
It's full of dust. Dust makes a great garnish.
Great. A sprinkle
of ficus dip.
Like dukkha,
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, great. Right. So just sprinkle that on there.
Do we have anything to drink? Hang on. I've got some sultanas here. Maybe I'll soak them in some water, and then we can crush them into wine.
Perfect. It won't be red, but I have a weeping sore on my lower arm. I'm not saying this is the right thing to do, but we don't have any time.
Okay.
And oh god, I think I can hear their car. Okay, I'll scratch my scab.
Okay, good. I'll just hold
You
out. I'll soak the
sultanas.
sultanas. They'll be ready in a minute. Oh man, here they are. Okay,
Thompsons.
we're all set the best we can.
Yes, dear.
Okay, here we go. Roland.
Thompsons are here.
They're here. Hi guys, how are you?
Leandra, hello.
Gareth, Stephen.
This is beautiful. What have you put on here?
Thank you.
I'm a little bit parched though. Do you have a drink or something?
Oh well,
that I
we
can
do
have?
actually have something
Got
for
some
you.
freshly
Red-
squeezed red wine.
Reddish, fairly red coloured wine.
Oh, I love red wine. What sort of red wine is it? Have you got a selection or?
It's from a vineyard called.
Lower arm yard.
Yes, it's from the lower arm
Oh,
region.
I think I've heard of the lower arm.
Yeah. It's in
That's by the
Anyway,
springs.
yeah.
This is a glass for you and a glass for you.
Oh, that looks divine. Interesting colour, isn't it?
Oh, this wine must be biodynamic and organic. It's got quite a lot of chunks in it. Just straight from the vines.
Oh, you know, to be honest, we crushed it ourselves with our feet. We went on a little winery retreat and.
Oh yeah, I can tell. There's still a little bit of nail in here.
And I believe you were taking care of the dessert.
Oh, we were going to do dessert. Roland, did you bring the dessert today?
Roland? No. That's for Leandra. Remember we wrote it on the cue card?
Oh, but that's all right. We can organise
Oh, yeah.
something. You two don't happen to have a bowl by any chance? Just a big bowl?
Yeah, sure. Yep. There you go.
Great. We might just pop to the bathroom.
And now it's time for Oh Wow of the Week.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
There are over 600 varieties of mint, one of which is basil, or Osmum basilicum. Its botanical name is derived from the Greek to be fragrant.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
So, gang, I was at the petrol station, service station, whatever's your poison, the other day, and I was filling up the car, right, and I was on my phone, right,
As you were filling up the car.
as I was filling up the car, okay, and no, well, look, okay, just give me some time, and I heard over my shoulder, oi, which
Oh, God.
no good conversation ever starts with an oi. And so I turn around and there's a woman in a car with her kids, and she says, "You know, you're not allowed to be on your phone. We're all going to blow up." And I don't know, guys. I mean, we've had mobile phones now for 20, 25 years in common use. We've had petrol stations for at least that long.
Yeah.
Okay, and in all that time, I've never heard once about a petrol station blowing up because of a mobile phone, right? Surely, if it had happened, we would have heard about it.
Yeah, but I think when you're dealing with large volumes of petrol and flammable materials, any warning signs you should 100% take heed of.
No, I'm with Andy here. I think her fear was that everyone was just going to spontaneously combust. The station would have been fine. It's just the individuals within the station. Yeah. No, but it's the same as an aeroplane when they say put your phones on airplane mode or it's going to affect the... Go on, Josh.
No, the difference with that is that's to do with the instruments. Like, no, it's different and it's fine. That's fine. When you're talking about flammable materials and potential, like, I guess it's static sparks or something.
Okay,
is it?
so
Or-
you're more comfortable with mobile phones on planes than you are with mobile phones. Do you even have the but we're not putting our mobile phones on petrol station mode before we pull into the petrol station, are we? Someone can
true.
still call me. Someone can still.
But is it
my
worth the
phone is
risk?
still sending GPS data to the local tower or whatever?
That's right.
What
Exactly.
is the difference?
The phone's still on, whether you're on a phone call or not.
but
It's still sending and receiving data.
That's not the problem. The signals isn't the issue.
What's the
What is
issue?
It's to do with like the battery. Man, if you had a Note 7 and that exploded at the petrol station, would you be laughing? No, you'd be charred in the corner.
laughing.
No, I think what Andy's trying to say is that we've had 25 years of people idiots, let's just say idiots, still using their phone at Bowser's and nothing has happened. We've got idiots on aeroplanes definitely not putting it in aeroplane mode, and the plane has been fine. I think we've found that after 20, 25 years of mobile phones, that it's a myth.
Do you know what I think it is? I don't think it's got to do with anything to do with that kind of safety. I think it's like with planes that you are concentrating. If there's something happening outside the window, you have your attention outside the window. And if you're putting in petrol, it's probably best that you don't have the phone in your hand. So I don't think it's got to do with...
Okay, hang on. So now you brought in a whole new angle there, which is that on planes, the reason you're not allowed to be able to use your phone is because you might be distracted when you should be looking out the window at all times.
For any
in
gremlins
case
on the wing.
the engine explodes and someone needs to bring it to the attention of the staff.
So I watch a lot of air crash investigations, and a lot of the time, a passenger will see the first thing they'll see is the engine on fire, and because for some weird reason there should be cameras all over the plane.
You could say rear view mirrors.
My favorite thing about seeing the engine on fire is the only way you can get someone's attention is by pressing the button. So it's just a ding. I'm sorry, but
There needs to be a third button with like a flaming engine. Just hit that. Hit that button.
If that was our job as passengers, they would have mentioned that at some point in the pre-flight announcement. Although, if you are right, that could explain why in-flight magazines are so boring. Is it so that they don't distract you from your important work?
But my point with the petrol station is it worth the risk for potentially dying when whoever's written that sign, for whatever reason, they probably have a good reason. I don't think it's a distraction reason, as Dion's positing. If they've made a sign that says, don't use your phone around these, the benefit to you of being able to check a text is worth potentially dying.
Absolutely. Absolutely, no question, because I refuse to live in fear.
And Dion and I are the maniacs. Yeah, mate, sure. Yeah.
But are there any other signs that exist that you guys kind of choose to ignore? Because Josh, we all know that you're very principled and you love rules. I mean, Josh on the road if he sees a sign that says 60, he will not do 61.
What about the baby on board signs that people have at the back of their cars?
No, I definitely crash into those cars.
What is the purpose of those signs?
I'm going to ruin it for you. The actual purpose is if there's an accident, a first responder can see that and go, oh, there's someone who couldn't escape this car. There's a baby in there. Let's go and get it.
Is that the same reason for having the, you know how they release those stickers where you can put your entire family on the back?
Yeah.
Is that so when there's a car accident, you can kind of count how many family members are on the
Oh, there's a dad who likes fishing in here.
Okay, quickly, there should be a rod around.
The other thing is that, what do you guys think of animal signs? When you see wombats 25 kilometres, I almost totally disregard them.
It's a fast wombat?
I'm like...
Actually, wombats are one of the fastest running creatures in Australia. Yeah, they can get up to really high speed.
Great joke, Christian. Ruined by Andy.
No. I'd like to say qualified by Andy. There's nothing wrong with that. People like to laugh and learn.
But how are those signs defined? Do people, when they're surveying those roads, do they see a few wombats and go, it looks like wombats would live around here? Do they see the wombats?
It's not a guess. They're not guessing.
Do they see the terrain? Or is it a Tourism Australia initiative?
So that people go home and say, well, we didn't see a single wallaby or koala, but we know they were around. Yeah. They were on signs.
And got the photo with the kangaroo leaping on a yellow sign. By the way, have you ever seen a koala on the ground?
Once.
Yeah?
Yeah, really weird.
Filling up its car.
Confronting.
Really flat.
I think personally... The sign that I'm going to be ignoring the most, and I think historically have ignored, is the no diving sign.
That's a really good one to follow, mate.
Yeah.
Nope, because
How's your neck?
Fine.
He loves to dive.
No, because growing up as a hefty child, I had to get my cannonballs kind of right, because a lot of people used to ask me, Christian, can you cannonball? Make a big splash. And I
what a degrading thing to say.
and I would cannonball, but I became so good at cannonballing that I could kind of approximate how deep in the water I'd get and kind of how big the splash would be.
You had total control over this.
I became like an Olympic diver for cannonballing.
What a strange variation on bullying. Isn't that odd to say, hey, you go do this thing, you're good at it, but you'll make a total fool out of yourself?
Yep. Thinking back on that now.
So what was your technique? Did you have like little adjustments you'd make? You go, oh, it's a bit shallower here. I'll push my ass out a bit more.
Completely, 100%. The no diving sign didn't matter. The depth of the pool didn't matter. I would be able to approximate my dive.
To be fair,
every
cannonball, not really a dive, is it?
Yeah, it's not a dive.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that if I dove into the pool, the lifeguard would just go, not a dive. Let him go.
No, because you're not diving. Diving is hands over the head, leaping in head first.
So what would you call a cannonball?
A cannonball. The word you've been using the entire time. That's what I'd use.
This is how good Christian was, right? That film of water that's left on a bench when you wipe it down with a sponge. He could cannonball into that.
A tiny little splash.
Yeah, and I'd be able to control the splash as well.
I assume that's something we can post on social media as well. Christian doing a cannonball.
I have, amazing. I have a video from when I went to Wet n Wild in 1998 where for a very brief moment, my dad was filming me and you see me walk on water.
What?
Explain that.
Okay.
So I was going down one of those speed slides, and you again, being quite a hefty child, I really did gain some momentum, and I also lacked self-control or any kind of core strength as a child.
Wow, what a child, eh?
So yeah,
Parents would have been beaming with pride.
I think that's why they put me down the slide. And when I hit the bottom, there must have been some kind of volatility on the surface tension of the water. Something had happened that caused me to flip upright, and then my instinct was to run. So in this video, you will see me flip up, run like a sprint on water, get about maybe 2 meters, and then just face plant down.
It's so good.
It's fantastic.
So I'm imagining you going down the speed slide in a cannonball, just like tumbling, just head over head.
Whips out into the upright position. You were Jesus for just like a fraction of a second. What did you guys really, really want when you were growing up? You know how like when you're a kid, you really want something? There's like a thing that you're like, I've got to have that, and if I can't...
I think it was there was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like the truck, the van they had. There was like a toy of that I think I really wanted.
So good, yeah. Donatello's van.
Yeah.
The best. I still want that. I genuinely...
Forget as a kid.
I genuinely think about that a lot. And I think that like when you see a tradie going around with their van, like a Sparky or something, they got all those tools and stuff in the back.
Turtle
I'm
shells
like,
on the side. Yeah.
someone was a Donatello fan. I always wanted a pocket knife, right? That was my big
terrifying.
thing. No, hang on. No, it's
As a
kind of
child?
it's kind of like a Donatello van in a way, isn't it? Because it puts the power in your hands. You've got everything you need right there. It's like a Donatello pocket.
Yeah, no. But with a Donatello van, the power is that you get to drive the other Ninja Turtles around. With a pocket knife,
No, okay. You've clearly never seen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or if you did, you misunderstood it as a show about transport. It's equipped with all sorts of different, like, sensors and weapons and that kind of thing. It's not that it gets from A to B, because then that would just be a van or a bus.
Show about a van.
It's the Donatello van.
Zippy little van.
what I'm saying is, its purpose was, it was practical, but it
Pretty sure it had
essence,
like a grenade launcher.
Very practical.
I don't care what its essence is.
We've obviously established that I didn't watch the show. I've taken this van at face value.
What do you think that an FA-18 Hornet is supposed to do, for example? Is that just a way to sort of fly to a place, have a look around,
Quick
fly
way
back again?
for the rich, the 1%.
So Andy, what did you bring in? We get guests to bring in for show and tell. Did you bring in a pocket knife?
I brought in a pocket knife, right?
Oh,
But
wow.
this isn't just any pocket knife, okay? This is a pocket knife because I didn't have a pocket knife. I really, really wanted a pocket knife. And our next door neighbour, he was a lunatic, right? And he had this 10-acre property that he just filled with junk. So, like, as kids, we just crawled all over it. Like, it was like a tip, basically, but we just went and explored all through it.
Little rat kids.
Yeah, like little
his
rat
dump.
kids crawling through the dump. I did that until I was about 23. And one day, we were crawling over these big old boilers that he had there, and I looked down the gap between the boilers. I was there with my friend James, looked down, saw a pocket knife just lying.
Oh, great.
Went down, got this pocket knife, and my friend James and I, we organised a roster where we would share it. We'd have 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off with the pocket knife.
That's great.
And
You've kept that in immaculate condition.
thank you so much. Yeah, it is a beautiful little number, and I still have it, still sharp.
He's opening it.
And I've got to give it back to James in a week and a half.
Now it's 2 years on, 2 years off.
Just on the topic of those Swiss Army knives, what do you think is the most used tool in it and the least used tool?
Corkscrew.
No, there's not that many people opening corks, mate.
Excuse me, Josh, this is another issue you've got. You don't say no immediately just because it's what you think.
But when you're really wrong, I have to say it.
Okay, so you've never used a
The main knife or the Phillips head screwdriver, 100%.
100% not the Phillips head screwdriver. It's going to be the corkscrew.
No, you have it as an uncommon tool.
Can we ask the subject matter expert here?
What is your most used function? Andy?
Embarrassingly, mine's on a different pocket knife I have. I now have several. My life is going well. And I have a little thing that screws inside the corkscrew, but it's actually a tiny little screwdriver, and I use it to tighten the hinge on my glasses.
Screwdriver.
Yep, so no. It's a cross between the corkscrew and the screwdriver. Everybody wins.
Really, really good. You know what's really, really good? Really, really good. You know what's really, really good?
You know what's really good? Blowing out a candle from really far away.
Really good.
Really good. You know what's really good? When you get out your phone to cancel plans with a friend and you see a message from them cancelling.
Really good. You know what's really good? New for old replacement.
Really good.
Do you know what's really good? Getting a seat on public transport without having to give it up to anyone.
Really good.
You know what's really good? Sitting next to a person who's terrified of invading other people's personal spaces.
Really good.
You know what's really good? Water slides.
Really good. Do you know what's really good? When a movie trailer shows you enough to get you excited but doesn't spoil the film.
Really good.
Do you know what's really good? When you are 100% content with your haircut.
Really good.
So
Thank you for listening to Welcome to Patchwork this week. We'd like to thank Andy Matthews. Andy, you have been a great sport today. Can you tell us a little bit about the comedy festival show you've got going in Melbourne this year?
Absolutely. I've got a show opening on the 28th of March with my friend Alastair Tremblay-Birchall, also on the Two in the Think Tank podcast with me. And the show is called Andy Matthews and Alastair Tremblay-Birchall's Sci-Fi Sketch Experience. And it's really pretty insane sketches, all in a science fiction vein. And they're ideas that we've come up with on our Sketch Generation podcast.
And Andy, if people want to listen to your podcast, what should they search for?
Two in the Think Tank.
Thank you, Andy. And Josh, you've also got a Melbourne International Comedy Festival show this year.
Yes, in the comedy duo known as Game Boys with my brother once again. The show this year is called Wide World of Esports. Last year we were nominated for the Golden Gibbo at the Comedy Fest, which is for a local independent act that, bucks a trend and strives to achieve something different and has a real strong artistic vision. So we got nominated for that last year. So we've got a brand new show this year to show everyone. So, if you grew up in the 90s, if you're a bit of a gamer, if you love your sport, our shows are also really accessible. So if you enjoy the podcast, you'll definitely enjoy the show as well. It's probably one of the most unique shows I think you'll see at the festival. It's not just straight stand-up. It's something a bit different, a bit exciting. And if you did want 2-for-1 tickets, we're using the promo code Patchwork. So just pump that into the promo code section and get yourself 2-for-1 tickets.
And the offer still stands. Dion and I will be there several nights probably. But let us know. Well, maybe we'll pick a date, Dion.
Yeah,
you and I will pick a date. Yep. And then all Patchwork fans can come support Josh, meet Dion and myself, then meet Josh, and then we'll meet Josh. It'll be great.
We'd like to thank so far our Patreon subscribers. Amanda Lee, as an example, really generous. She gave us a $10 recurring subscription, which is really
this is
lovely.
The thing that I debate on our podcast. Should you actually say the amount that the various listeners are giving? Because then are you going to go and now announce that people are only giving $1 and say, this cheapskate?
So thanks so much, Amanda. What we really need are ratings on iTunes. That really keeps us going and keeps our subscriptions up. So if you could just get into iTunes or get into the Apple Podcast app, scroll down to the bottom, click 5 stars, click 4 stars. If you're clicking 1 to 3, we're really not interested. But otherwise, we'd love you to rate our show. Also, add us on social media, because a couple of weeks ago, we posted a video of me blinking at my brother's bar mitzvah 14 times. So, of course, feel free to miss out on that sort of content that we're posting, but we highly recommend you searching for Welcome to Patchwork on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. Josh, what did you sew into your patch this week?
My patch this week was Andy talking on his phone as he cannonballs into a pool full of homemade hummus. And Christian, what did you sew into your patch this week?
This week, I sewed into my patch an entire family being so impressed by the controlled precision of my cannonballs that they burst into flames. Andy, what did you sew into your patch this week?
This week I sewed in Christian flying down a water slide, flipping up into an upright walking position to enter a conversation with somebody with a fascinating-looking mug. And Dion, what did you sew into your patchwork this week?
So this week I sewed Andy on a plane, nervously looking out of the window, nibbling on a packet of honey cashews. Thank you for listening to Welcome to Patchwork this week. I've been Dion.
I've been Josh.
And I've been Christian.
And I've been Andy.
Goodbye.
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 Goodbye. I love the taste of Leandra's shit.